G'day and welcome back to Stitch Up. And this is episode 3 of a very, very special series. Special to me, I guess. Very special series of Planet Coaster that I have been working on over the past, it's now been about a year. So this is episode 3 of Deep Blue Sea, the ride. So if you've seen episodes 1 and 2, you would be following along on the path that I'm following. But then if you have a look here, we're actually making a little bit of progress and actually starting to segment the ride up. So welcome to, by the way, Aquatica. So yes, Aquatica is the name of the World War II submarine base in Deep Blue Sea. Now, a couple of things that I've done. Well, actually, I've done more than a couple of things, but you'll see this massive kind of blue sort of soundstage. So it sits in there. Now, the way these are looking there, if you're down on the ride, I think when you're down on the ride and you look out there, the blue actually looks pretty good. So I'm not too sure how it's all going to go. I'm yet to work out if I'm going to put a roof on. There's one of the sharks, one of the gens. He's a Gen 2, I guess. He might be a Gen 1, actually. Yeah, he might be Gen 1 is the big one, and then Gen 2's the smallers. Or maybe it's the other way around, actually. But yeah, we're starting to work out exactly what's happening with Aquatica and also how much we've finished Aquatica. Just very recently, I've worked out that Aquatica needed to be a little bit bigger than it currently was. So if we have a look over here, I've segmented this section off over here, and I do need to do a little bit of finishing of it. But we've got the extra pen over the back there. I think as well that I need to put a second lock, like an actual airlock, water airlock in there, just so it does look a little better. Then I need to be also thinking about where the ride's going to go through. I think the best thing for Aquatica to do, or for the best way to observe it, is from where the plane is. So over here in this corner is where the plane is, and I've changed the plane to yellow, the water plane. In the movie, you do see this plane quite a bit, and the plane at the start. It's quite funny because I think people are coming in. So the executives who are coming in for to star in the movie and stuff. These guys all come in via the plane. But then people are leaving via the boat, hence the dock and the boat, and we can have that sort of theory going along. So that's how that kind of works. People would be leaving by boat, but occasionally they come in via plane, hence the executives. So I think when we do that, I think that's a good focal point because you see Aquatica in the background, and people would come in, and they would come in here. So I think this diagonal wall here is going to be where you lead into the main part of Aquatica, and I've got some plans. I've been drawing some plans. And I've got little plans here. I don't know if you can see these. Yeah, you can. I think you can see those. But basically, if you have a look here in Aquatica, this is where we're going to start to move in. Now, down here, so this is it, and the plane's sort of in this corner. Down here is going to be the entrance to the whole area. And I think I was looking at the movie, and there's a scene in the movie that's filmed in the dark, and it's a kind of 4 rich kids on a yacht, and they're carrying on, and then one of them falls in the water, and the shark goes to attack them. This is one of the escape sharks from Aquatica, and the hero of the movie saves those 4. That's the very first scene of Deep Blue Sea. So I think what I'll do is I will have the ride. I think I'll have what I'm going to do is, because I think the ride will start with Aquatica, and but that first scene in the dark is going to be done on a soundstage, but that's going to be where you board. So the queue to get into the ride, you'll walk into it, and you'll go through and see exactly what's happening there, and maybe one of those sharks kind of on the lasso as he is in the movie. I think that's how I'm going to do it. I think I'm going to have that scene, a bit of a kind of a prop scene, a still prop scene that you walk around, then you get onto the ride, then you swing back in here, and then you'll get straight into the Aquatica through this wall, and you'll be coming in here. So if we do that, you'll come in through the wall, and there it is. And that's it. Pretty much when that comes through, you can come through and you just see it, and everything opens up, and all of a sudden it's like, wow, look at this. So I will find a way of getting the people from here to here, and I don't this whole section is away from the wall quite a bit, so I need to probably have a walkway going across there, or maybe I just need to extend this out so it sits out closer, and that when you come into it, it's right out in there. I could even look for another boat actually and see whether I can put a boat in here. So you'll come into here, and we are using, I think we're going to use the Huntsman for the ride as well. And you'll come into here, and the Huntsman will then track across here. And I think what he'll do is he'll start to explore some of this, and as you're there, you'll see some of the sharks swimming around. So this guy here on the left, I mean, this is all very deep blue sea. So you'll come through here, and then you will come through this section, through this kind of airlock, and then into here. And you can see I've started to make some more details of Aquatica there. We've got sections on the ground that are you can see through into the water, and then we've got these more concrete sections. Remember, it was a World War II naval refueling base for submarines. Something that is quite prominent in the movie, and I do want to replicate it here, are these raised walkways. So I think people are, you generally go up on the walkways and then head over the water. So I do need some of these to start bisecting. So I'm going to have one that bisects across here at the back. I'm going to have one that goes around across here, straight across to there. So that we might work on that during this episode as well. Over here, so you'll come through, and then I think this is all just visual. You're looking over here. I don't think we ever go as a guest on the ride. I don't think we ever go back here. So I might just segment that off, and then you don't even need to see what's happening there with the airlock. So I might just put a gate off there, or maybe a concrete wall so you can't see what's behind. And then of course we've got these ladders for the people to get up, and we will see how people can get up, how the ride vehicle can get up onto the top section. Once on the top section, I want him to trail across. So I think what he'll do is he'll come through here. Yep, he'll come through this way, and he'll come through here. Up here, I'll find a way of getting him up, and this might be the transition here. It could be the case that we go from here to here, where the ride just goes up, and it does move up over concrete or something. And I think we can just make that work. We've got to remember that it is a ride. You're not meant to be immersed in the movie. This is not, it's supposed to be a ride, and you've got to suspend your disbelief somewhat. So yeah, let's hope we can do that. I've actually worked out that the Huntsman can actually can sit below the surface here on the concrete, and because it's this kind of magnetic track ride, it can be all the tracking would be completely hidden, and then when we do get track that goes around corners and things, that's when I need to start to make adjustments to it. I have also originally in my first 2 episodes I talked about the deep blue sea, and I talked about having 3 Aquatica pens. So once I'd finished it, I was going to duplicate it, or triplicate it basically, and then have those other scenes. So one would be the nighttime scene. So that nighttime scene where the lift door opens, and by the way, this is the lift door. I think we did this in the last episode. This is the lift door here. Game's just being a little bit shaky at the moment. But and you can see how shaky it is because these little things give me away actually. Yeah, and you can. This sort of lift door will open, coaster door, launch bays, they'll open, and you'll get you'll go into there. So I think that is going to end up being quite cool, and we can trigger those. Okay, so you come up here. You come across this section, you'll probably at that point come across here, and then once you're up here, we'll find a way of getting them back down to ground, and then once they're down there, they'll swing around this part, and then you'll go into the section into here. So this is all going to be done with music. We've got some pipes. We're probably going to have a few more supports for the pipes and things, and yeah, we are still adding to all those, but yep, you'll come down here and you'll get into this. Now when you get into this section here, this coaster door, this lift door, this is the lift. It's supposed to be like a massive kind of sort of, because remember this submarine refueling base would have also been used for restocking of torpedoes. So these big lift doors and then that massive lift, it's a big goods lift. It's not a passenger lift. It's a big industrial lift. So I like the idea of the size of the doors. I think that's pretty good. Now you'll go into the lift, and when you go into the lift here, you'll be sitting in this little section here. I'm actually going to have, we're going to cut away a lot of this and build just the inside of that lift. But what we're going to have there is I'm going to have one wall. So you'll look in and there'll be one wall in there, and you'll look into it and it will be a screen. And in that screen, you'll have a scene playing, and the scene will be the rolling. So you'll be like this lift is just descending down into the levels of Aquatica, so down to so we could have the surface, and then -1, -2, -3, and they could be the levels, or maybe 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. These can be the levels that you go down, and then when we're down there, you'll be able to have those big numbers up on the walls as well. So I'll start to use painted letters on the walls, and I've worked out how I can do that as well. So there's a little trick I've actually been seeing some other Planet Coaster creations, and you'll be you'll be able to see that the lift is going down. It isn't, it's staying on that level. When it stays on this level though, we will then basically have to have them going through here. So I think I'm going to split these two bays up here, and I'm going to do a section across here, because then we basically need a corridor. And this corridor, I've started playing with the corridors here because we want to get out of the Aquatica and start looking at some of the other scenes. And this is one of the corridors, and I've actually hooked up the huntsman into this. So the huntsman's there, and he's going, and there he goes. You can see him. He's just come up. So you can't see the track, but you can see the bottom of the huntsman ride, and I've just had him sitting there, but then he comes right the way up to ground level. This is the color scheme I've come up with. So these are 4 different colors. So we've got basically the lower walls, the upper walls, and it's that sort of old concrete. I like that. In the movie, it does have two-toned concrete walls, and I think once you get some flashing lights in there, we can start to see sort of that. And of course, the roof is a slightly darker concrete. I did have a black roof in there, but it looked too modern. The roof looks almost identical to the upper wall, so I'm probably going to change the roof color. And that bottom grey is quite cool down below, so it is a different grey. Again, these two colors do look like each other a little bit, but then the color up top, they are actually four quite different colors. You can see that outside actually. You can see the 4 colors there. So okay, so we basically, and then once he comes down here, he'll come down into this section, and then he'll get into a corner staircase. So on the corner staircase, and I've built that here, I've indicated that on my little drawing here, but on this corner staircase here, the huntsman will go down. I need to find a way to get the huntsman down a level, because I want him to go, take the lift down, then go through here, then take the stairs down, the circular stairs. Now those stairs feature because when we get out of the lab and we get into things go wrong in the ride, because the ride so far is just going to be like, everything's cool here, but then we go see the corridors, and once they get into the lab, everything is nice, but then everything goes very bad. And I think that's when, we want to get back to these corridors. And one of the scenes in the movies has these corridors, the chef, and you can see the water just trickling down these circular stairs in the corner, and then all of a sudden the trickle becomes slightly bigger, and then it gets into lots of water flowing down there. And we can use water effects in the game to show water coming down those stairs and then flooding it. And I don't know how I'm going to go with flooding these corridors, but my aim is to eventually have water sitting down the middle of the corridor and have flooded sections of the corridor. That is the aim of that one. So things are going all right. I think what we could do is we could start to well, let's do a couple of things in this section actually, because we'll keep let's keep Aquatica going, and get some things built up. So let's edit. I think it's building 4 Aquatica, and we'll see if this will go. The game is, because we're recording as well, so it doesn't overly like that I'm building and editing and recording in the same thing. Yeah. And as I've always said with this could be built on this computer, but once I do the filming for the final run through, that's the stuff that could be on a different computer, on a different rig, because I'm not overly sure that I'm going to be able to do that. So yeah, so let's just keep building a little bit along here, and we'll let's actually, no, it won't. So we'll do this. Lovely. Okay. Now I'm actually going to do something before I fix that up. I'm actually going to, what we're going to do here is let's do, yeah, what I might do here is copy this. And this is a grid here, so once we copy it, it does copy quite nicely. And that one there, so this is the lineup of the basically of the our that's the lineup. So if I do, yeah, because this is basically our lift. Our lift lines up with that. Does he? Hang on, no, he lines up with this one. Actually, let's go have a look at him. The lift door, he lines up with this, sorry. So he lines up with here to about where the orange thing is, just there. So I'm looking, I think he's pretty good like that. So let's do that. And let's go duplicate again, and let's go ZZ, that flips him. And what we'll do is let's see if we can, and he's going to be on the edge there. Where's the edge of it? No, it's got to be like that. Okay. Okay, I think we'll have him there, and we'll go back down and have a look at him now and just see exactly where we are. So this basically doing this duplication just gets me a little bit of building coming along, and it allows me, it means that I can start to extend things nicely and not be worried too much. It's built on the grid system and it means that I won't have sort of gaps and things. That's all quite good. Okay, so let's go ahead and see if we can just finish a few more of these. Yep, so that fixes these guys up perfectly. And it makes these two pens a bit smaller, and these two pens are now going to be, yeah, what is that? Is that like that? All right, and we just put that in there. Yep. And this whole section here can actually, I don't mind that. I think that's actually quite good. We might see if we can get, yeah, I don't mind that. I think that does work actually. But what we might do is just remove this section here. So you can go, and of course this is going to be for part counts that all this is. Yeah, we'll have to do these individually. Right. Good. Okay, yep, we'll take a few of these out. Right, and then I can actually start getting my corridors in here, and we can start putting the huntsman in. I guess it's going to be important for me to get the huntsman in the next sort of part of the building, because, and this is why I wanted the corridor section. I wanted to break out of the Aquatica scene a little bit, not just because it isn't boring building it, but it isn't stimulating me to do that, and I actually want to have these corridors built in, so we can then have him going through there, and I can start to see it, because I do want to, I think I'm almost 100% sure that I'm going to use the huntsman, and I guess if I do need to use a different ride vehicle and a different ride system, then I need to be testing it with those and changing it. And I do want this to be a slow walkthrough. This is all about, this is all about music and suspense and the scenery. And I think if you were to go on this ride in a theme park, it would all be about, wow, look at this. And I'm not sure about maybe for the jumps as well. So this is, I guess, a dark ride. In some way, and yeah, I'm yet to work out. I do like how the light plays on it. That's the sunlight playing on it, but then the sunlight does sort of, it deceives me over here, because remember, Aquatica is meant to be out in the middle of the ocean, so I'd have to set the sun. At the moment it's 8:21 a.m., but I'd have to set it so it sits directly overhead, and that could be good, but then I don't know if maybe then if you look up and you see the blue, I don't know. So maybe I need to maybe we need to put a roof over the top after all. So we'll see about that. That could be the very next thing. And of course, making sure this guy over here actually sort of looks okay, because you're going to have that going basically into the back wall. And I've got to be careful with stuff like that, because so I don't know if that's what I do. Maybe I have yeah, maybe I have one of these circular staircases here, and then you go down, because you could easily have this tunnel coming out of here, but the tunnel could be down a section, and that would kind of work. We could do some terraforming at the back and fix that up as well. So I think that's kind of what we're doing. I'm not going to integrate the tunnel in while on camera, but what I am going to do is, yeah, I might just. Yeah, I don't even think I'll finish this bit off. I think I'll just leave that at the moment, and then we can integrate it all a little bit later. I've been putting lots of pipes in. What else did I want to do? Oh, light towers. I need to start putting light towers around the edge. Of course, you know, we've got an opportunity for the ride vehicle to come down here as well and come along this whole section. Yeah, so the light towers, I want detail, and I need to get some light towers in there. So let's go for this. Let's try and put in some, if I go to scenery, and I jump in here and go light towers. Yeah, props. And then I should be able to go lights. Okay, so we want something fairly, see, these floodlights is probably what I need to be doing. But I don't know if they're too. I mean, they certainly fit the time frame, because lampposts aren't going to work. What's this? A street light post. Oh, there we go. There's the light post anyway. Street lamps. Street lamps are just. Oh, hang on. I mean, they do have these kind of lamps in there. Street lamp 2. No, they're not industrial enough, are they? They're not industrial enough. So, what's this? A floating lantern. That's very pirates. Very piratey, isn't it? Okay, we don't want that. Searchlights will be in there for sure. Hotel chandeliers. Okay, let's have a look at these floodlights. The problem with the floodlights is they don't look quite right. What's this? It might have to be, actually, with the lights, it could have to be that I put... where's the lamppost? Yeah, it could have to be that we put a classic lamppost with a sign. Could have to be that we end up just having this street light post. Yeah, it could be that this sort of light sits here, right? And then on the top of that one, so if we do this and we go like that, okay, and on the top of this one we go, where is it? It's probably this. Yep. And now if I line this up, it could have to be that's what it is. And I think that's kind of where we need to get to, because yeah, I think that's that. And then, yeah, that would work. And then we would do this, and let me see, we are snapping here, but that's the idea of the lights. And when we do it, I just wonder, yeah, see how they're facing down at that angle as well. It kind of works as well. Okay, let me just do this, and let me see if I can drop him down a little bit. Yeah, so he's actually attached to it, and then I could duplicate those two. I wonder if I'd probably do that and that, and then get all three pieces. Yep. And start to go like like this. And again, if I go duplicate, is it? Yep. So I might be able to start to duplicate these and just put them in various sections of where they make sense. Ooh, whoa, hang on. We are in. Oh, we're in all sorts of hell here. We're in 10 kinds of hell. Wait. Okay, I think here's a good spot for it. Yep, this is good. And I might be able to hit the Z key, just spin him around. Yeah, so that's good. And again, I think the best thing for this is to do that and not be too precise. So when you see the lights, you could see them. Yeah. I think that's kind of good. I think that kind of works. And if we jump out, you can see that they're on. And again, when we turn this into, there are some scenes in the movie where it's sunset. So as the staff are all leaving, you can see the light, the time of day change, and it all gets into that kind of sunset type thing. So that's kind of good. All right, let's just put one set of lights over near the over near the actual habitat. So let's get him over here. Ooh. Yep, and we'll do it here. And of course, they're meant to face inwards, but this could be kind of good. This could be good because I could put this right here and have them facing like that. That would work. Yeah, that works. And then let's put another one into the pen, and there we go. Going to put one over here. Yep, in this section. And let's put him facing into the pen but on an angle. So actually, what about if he goes not there. Here could be good. Yeah, it's got to be not on the wood, I think, is my theory. And he's got to be facing in a little bit. Ooh, he lines up with that, doesn't he? I think that's kind of good. Okay, and again, you'll see those lights when you're there, and you'll see it, and this is all for the realism. So this is this main pen, and you've got all these lights kind of facing in. I think that kind of works. Okay, so we did a spinning radar was one I wanted to add in, and that's in there at top. We want stacks of barrels. So one thing I have added in are these barrels over here. There's one there. And then we've got stacks of these barrels over here. These barrels are really, really small though. It just makes me realize how big the habitat is, how big the Aquatica actually is, and how big this sort of thing is. But that's all right. I think it is good. We're seeing a bit of sort of, it's not very tall. It is a lot taller in the movie, but as a prop, but in the movie, you don't have, because this is this forced perspective. So in my ride, people are, as you look up, it's meant to be this Art Deco modern 1930s, 1920s structure that steps up. And it kind of does in this, but we're building, so that's why I've only got a really, really small top section. And in this top section, you've got to remember, like in the movie, the lady lives up there. That's her area that she lives in, and that's her office. She's got plants and things, and she gets blown to bits. Remember later, she gets destroyed. So that's how that kind of works. So we've got all those. I noticed we also had a higher fences. So in the movie, the fences go all the way up. Now I've put these fences to the pens, but then on the outside there were really high fences. And they play a part of it of how the whole thing sinks. So I think what we're going to do, we do have, if you look at the water line, the fences do set up at about maybe 3 meters. I think 12 feet is what they discuss in the movie. But this sort of 3 meter, or this whatever this huge fence is, as the whole Aquatica gets destroyed and there's explosions, the whole thing generally sinks, so it loses its buoyancy and it starts to just get lower into the water. And this is it, because the sharks are then able to escape, because and in the opening, not the opening scene, but one of the early scenes, the main hero of the movie talks about, how high are the fences, and he gives this concerning look when he hears the answer. So the fences do have a part to play, but I think rather than put them on the outside as well, I think we'll just leave them there. I don't want it to look like a prison. I don't want it to look like a prison. And of course, the lab scene is going to be the next thing that we start building as well, because that's going to be quite cool. One thing I just wanted to mention before I wrap up the episode, and we will probably just leave the episode here very shortly. But one thing I did want to mention as well is this idea. I think I started to talk about it a bit earlier. When we triplicate the whole thing, or when we, if I jump off that, just so we get a little bit of frame rate back. But when we come back and we were looking at having, this is the entrance, this is the first scene, you're seeing everything when it's all nice and good and there's been no trouble. And then maybe later when you come to it, it's going to be a helicopter above. He comes out of the lift. And remember, there's a helicopter above and there's a storm. Well, I'm going to do that. So I'm going to copy the whole thing across. Then I'm going to delete 80% of the ride. So in that one, it's a much smaller soundstage you come onto, but it's an exact replica of, where can I grab this? But it's exactly a replica of, say, this section, this middle section. And I think that's kind of cool. At nighttime, you won't see so far. It is an exact copy of that. And I think that's going to work really, really well, because you're going to feel like you're on the same soundstage, but you're not. You're on an identical one that was copied off this. And this is what's brilliant about Planet Coaster, that we can copy sections and replicate, and that kind of works. That's one of the things that works. There's one other scene I'm looking at putting in. So multiple scenes that we're going to have. We've got the corridors and the staircases, down more corridors. Then we've got the lab scene. You'll go into the lab and you'll come around. There's a big glass wall. There's a shark that comes up, or a shark will be up, and there'll be a laser pointing into it, and they're doing the experiments on that shark, and that's the essence of the movie. So that from there on in, your music will change and the ride will go into its, everything's gone bad. But after you come out of there, I think, or probably just before it does go bad, I'm going to go into, the outside pens. So you'll get into the underwater pens where he swims in between. So we're going to have these. I've got the idea that the ride vehicle is going to go into an airlock, and the airlock's going to flood. I think the airlock is going to flood, or people will suspend their belief that they are now a scuba diver, and we'll have a voiceover with something like, "Please put on your scuba gear. Please put on your scuba gear." That sort of automated voice, and I'll record all that, and we'll put sound effects in, and then the ride vehicle will go out, and you'll be in a dry area, but the idea would be that you're scuba diving through these metal things, and the sharks are on the outside, and these are the ones where the sharks do the attacking, and then the sharks go back like that, and people go, "Did that shark really just go swim backwards?" Lots of things that happen in Deep Blue Sea. And then we've got the attack and everything going bad. We've got the helicopter, the arm being ripped off. We'll have some blood. We'll get all that sort of stuff happening. We've got lightning. We've got an explosion. We are going to have the tower completely explode at some point. We'll have a wrecked tower in the very final scene. When we have the final scene, the Holoquatica might be sitting on a slight angle closer to the water. The water will be a lot rougher, just to give a bit of effect. And then, so this will be basically how people go through the ride, and I've got to think about how long I want the ride to go for, but I think we're getting somewhere. I think so. For this is episode 3. I know it's been a long time between episodes, but we are getting somewhere with Deep Blue Sea, the ride. You can see where we're going. So I hope by the time we get into the next episode, I hope that people you'll be able to see a little bit more. And you'll be able to see the lab under construction. The thing that's going to make the corridors really good, see at the moment I've just got the colour scheme of the corridors put together. And by the way, the ride vehicle's coming at it from this side, but he won't. He'll be coming at it from the other side. So I think I need to integrate the ride in its original spot, and then we can have it wrapping around everything, and we can start to see exactly how everything looks, as it will in the ride. But one thing is these flashing lights on the wall, so these circular lights that just go around, and I believe I tried to replicate these lights and build them myself, and now I believe they're in the base game, so I'll be able to track those lights down. But yeah, a yellow flashing light over here will look kind of good in there and as wall fittings. And don't forget, we're going to paint the numbers of the levels on there, and that's all going to be pretty good as well. So that's going to be quite good. As the little huntsman ride just goes past it, you can see there he looks like he's floating. The ride is actually coming up to the correct grade at the moment, but it's that's how it's going to look. I think it's going to look quite good. We'll probably just have one ride vehicle going through, so this is not going to be, I don't want it to be like a massive throughput. I just want it to be able to be filmed. And we'll see. Again, I talked about uploading the park file at some stage, and that could be good because, there are more powerful computers out there, and I'd like to see how it runs on other ones. Okay, I think we'll leave the episode here. This has been Deep Blue Sea, the ride. Let's take a swing past Aquatica and just have a bit of a look around. You can see some of the gen sharks in there, and there's 2 sharks in there as well. There is a scene where the shark, at the very start, where the shark's being lifted. I was thinking of using one of these new smaller pens where the shark is being lifted out. That's one of the ones that escaped and got the yacht with the 4 college kids. So yes, as we're swinging just past Aquatica, just to give a little bit of an overview, and you can see it. If you have any suggestions on if there's any scenes in the movie that you think I'm missing at the moment, I mean, there's more to come, but anything you think you want included, any feedback for me on the project, how it's all going, leave them in the comments. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button, and I will see you in the next episode of Deep Blue Sea, the ride. Cheers.